Welcome back to the channel, you guys. As I begin to work through a couple of tournaments and events, start focusing more on what direction I would like to take the account in next, I find myself running more and more into champions that I haven't heard very much about. So if you guys have heard about this champion, I would love to get your opinion. We're going to be revisiting Banner Lords with one of my most recent pools, following a little activity of all caught up in the fusion, which the fusion is so beyond where I am currently, but it's definitely something that I would like to dive a little bit deeper into, maybe a little farther down the line. But we're going to be taking a look at a rare, and this is a rare from the Banner Lord faction. We're going to look at Spymaster. Now, this is one of those champions I had actually not heard very much about. And aesthetically, I am loving it. I'm feeling it. Shield and all is pretty nice. You guys know Banner Lords are most known for, of course, that attack on one enemy. Depending on the amount of strength they're able to produce, it can definitely be worth it. Some of our members for Banner Lords come with really good passives. A few of them have a great third skill, and Spymaster actually falls into one of the categories. On the account that I've pulled him, it's interesting to have a number of champions I can rotate through as I work through Tag Team Arena, which is one area. It's also nice in Banner Lords to kind of have a few champions to pull from as I work through Faction Crypt as well. This champion, as he's gone through campaign and I've been leveling him up, some of his skills I've kind of been impressed with. And so on the list, you guys probably have figured this out now. I like doing champion reviews. I kind of like looking and seeing what they can do. With only 102 reviews, I believe this guy is pretty new to the game, but as you can see, he appears to be pretty solid across the board. All scores ranging from 4.3 and above. Spymaster is an HP champion. He's a rare champion, so not difficult to book out, which is nice to say sometimes. Now, HP base, we're looking at 19,650 is what they're bringing him in as. Attack is at 782. Speed is not bad at 97. And then, of course, you have your base crit rate and crit damage. On the skill level, Spymaster's Blade is going to be the first skill. Attacks one enemy and has a 40% chance of decreasing the duration of 2 random buffs on the target by 1 turn. Decreasing the duration of a random buff is kind of nice. You guys have heard me say this one before as well. As you start escalating from early game to mid game, the one thing that you will definitely start honing more in on is the turn meter. It's one part that I didn't pay a bunch of attention to in the very beginning. And what I found was my champions were not always able to beat other teams, especially when I'm thinking about arena in the speed race. The same thing was happening for me for campaign bosses. I could get down to the last stage, maybe 6 or 7, and for some reason, we just could not survive the waves. What I figured out is I needed more champions, kind of like Diabolus, more champions that were coming in and slowing down turn meters or boosting the turn meter of their allies. And this champion for Spymaster falls into that same category. Now, damage-wise, the amount can be improved by 15%. And then you have the buff debuff chance, which can also be improved at 20%. The first skill is not uncommon for this particular faction. It wasn't what most impressed me, but I will say it did push me to go a little bit further. And this is where my interest began to be piqued. Directed Sabotage, the second attack, attacks all enemies, has a 50% chance of placing a block buffs, debuffs for 2 turns. And this I liked. The 50% chance can be improved to a 60% chance. We can actually take the skill down to a 4-turn cooldown. Better if it was 3 before a rare champion, I will take it. And then the block buffs debuff, you can improve that chance by an additional 10%. So damage is going up by 20%. The chance to throw out this buff is going to go up to 60% for 2 turns. So it's a really good way to crowd control. It's a really good way to afford your team the opportunity to be able to use their skills. Now, if you have another champion with a, let's say they're doing HP burn, that's a skill that it took me a while to pull a champion that had HP burn. Let's say, for example, if I have a champion that is able to rally an ally to come in and attack. These skills going off back to back can be really, really helpful for progression. Cloak and Dagger is going to be the third skill, places a counterattack buff on this champion for 2 turns. Also has a 75% chance of placing a provoke debuff for 1 turn on 2 random enemies. I'm not in love with provoke. I know I think a lot of dwarves come with provoke. I've seen a couple of skinwalkers as well. It's not a skill that I found grave value in. I like counterattack. It's normally something I add to my champions via what artifacts I'm able to place on them. You can get this down to a 5-turn cooldown. So once again, for longer battles, if you have other champions that are definitely throwing skills in between, Spymaster can prove to be really, really helpful. You can increase the buff debuff chance by 25%. So, that takes you up to 100% chance on the provoke. With HP and being HP based, it wasn't difficult to book this champion out and to also gear him so that he's able to stay alive. So that has not been an issue. Now, as we all know, depending on what champions you're running with a champion, it's going to kind of change how their skill set is able to hit. The other thing to keep in mind is this account, for example, is only at level 36. So I will always try to go through and kind of give you guys an idea of where I'm sitting at overall based on champion performance. And we're going to come in, we're going to hit stage 7, just got to see how we do. I've been leveling up my champion from the fusion. And guys, this is another rare, that rare that everyone's having to acquire all of them if you plan on going for more gain. It's actually a nice rare, I will say. If you have the ability to get a copy, I've actually pulled one from shards as well. I've seen a couple of people have even pulled the epic from shards. So it's been pretty impressive. Now, Spymaster is not currently ascended. I'm going to run them on a team, actually, with a couple of our Ultimate Death Knights. Boy, I am on it today. We have Pharsalis and then Sniper as well. So all solid champions, definitely able to hold their own. Let's just kind of see how much damage he's able to contribute to this particular battle. I will normally run a new champion in campaign first. I will place them in arena. Probably the last place where I try a champion is usually with Clan Boss, just to kind of see what they're able to do. Spymaster was a champion that on this particular account, I was able to, I think, put him in regen gear. So being able to make that attack and still receive a bit of healing is always helpful. Knowing that Ultimate Death Knight is running on this team, so he changes the target. That's of course helpful as well, but the shield placement and going in and doing some pretty decent damage. I've seen Spymaster ran fully starred, fully mastered. His damage level kind of puts me in the mind of maybe an Aethel. If you're for your beginning champion, once you 6-star out, the attack all enemies on that second skill is pretty helpful as well. And I'm going to see how he is doing so far. The good thing is he's going to put out a decent amount of damage. This team currently is not in any danger of dying, so that's also helpful. And I will definitely run him at later levels for both Brutal, and I'll even give him a try at Nightmare as well as this account progresses. So he may actually go down in this battle. Kind of depends on, I thought he was a goner there. I really thought he was a goner there. But Ultimate Death Knight is definitely coming through for us. So let's see how he did. Really low, actually, on the attack. I probably have to drop out some of my other champions to see what he can do. Defense level, kind of see where he can kick in a little. Not much on the support, but this is what I want to do next. Let's take all of them out, and then let's just throw in a shield guard just in case. All right, let's see if we're able to kind of survive this battle as well. Now, I will tell you guys this. When I pull an epic champion, I am pushing myself to either decide whether they're buildable or if they're just simply going to go to the vault. I've got to get in the habit of using my vault a lot more and being really, really thoughtful and cautious with my resources. It's probably one of the weakest parts of my game. I will tend to get a champion, I will fall in love with that champion, and then I instantly want to build them out. And as most of us know, the more champions you have on your account, the more tempted you are to try to build everybody out at one time. And that definitely slows down your progression. I have pushed myself on another account in particular to stick to the rules. And I'll go down some of the comments. I got a really, really great comment from a subscriber the other day. And I definitely want to take a little time, break it down, and kind of show the difference between the account where I'm following the rule to the T and the other one kind of where I'm letting my passions take me in different directions. Being able to acquire a number of champions is something that I thoroughly enjoy. I don't always build those champions out. I like to have pretty good content with you guys. But as you can see, Shield Guard went down for me. We've only made it to round 2, and we're hitting enemies at level 60. So we may not survive this one. I wouldn't be shocked. And we only ran this one with 3 champions instead of 4. So he did make it to the final round. Always helpful. Ooh, nice little attack there. The second and third skill for this particular champion can definitely be helpful. So he's down to it by himself. We are not going to survive this one. Let's just see where he was. So coming in at 24.5, I would definitely love to get him upgraded to a 5-star. I definitely want to ascend him as well. He has no masteries on him currently. But if you take a look here, defense-wise, he's able to do a little bit. And then, of course, still throwing out a bit of support. Now, Spymaster works pretty well. And we'll look at him in arena as well. See if we can switch out our little arena team that we've been running. And with arena on this early account, we're still level 2 bronze. So not a huge, not really a huge challenge rolling through. Let's see what he does. When you are thinking about champions, kind of looking at what they can and cannot do, there are a lot of champions, guys, that honestly, they're going to get the most done. He didn't even get a chance to go. They're going to get the most done when you reach particular parts of the game. The other thing is I'm now to the point where a lot of my champions are being selected based on a specific skill. Sniper and Kale took that group out. So I will probably have to let's drop both of them out and just go in with these 2 and see how we do. Oh, probably not the best team to do this with, but we'll see how this one works. If he's able to make it to his, all right, he hit that second attack. And on this one, they have Shaman too. So I think this is going to be one of those moments when we should have at least kept 3 people in on the arena, because my boy is now back down by himself, which is not going to work. And I've got to check out what kind of gear we're running him with and make sure he's outfitted. So the biggest limitation on Spider, I can definitely say, is going to be gear. And let's take a second, because I haven't looked to kind of see what this champion is already equipped with. I do not have very strong gear on this account. So he is in lifesteal, level 12. I definitely could do a little bit better on the chest. If we look at overall stats, there are a couple things I want to improve. Crit rate is 1. Crit damage is at 92%. I've really got to work on my Great Hall on this account because I haven't dived into that one yet. HP can do much, much better. And then honestly, I probably want to hit a little with this attack. His accuracy is not bad. It's probably not my biggest focus currently at the moment. But as an HP champion, we can do a little bit better. Definitely do a little bit better. I wouldn't mind having a percent on that one. We'll take this one. Why not? Now, as I'm going through and kind of reworking artifacts for this particular champion and a couple of others, the other conversation that normally comes up is how do you decide how to outfit or how to gear your champion when you first receive them? Now, one option you can do is when you're looking at reviews, you can also go over and look at recommendations for gear. And sometimes it's a really good place to start. I will often then search YouTube and kind of see if I can find videos or suggestions for gear. And then I've also gotten to the point I really, really appreciate what adding masteries to a champion can do. The only champions that I will run in Minotaur's Labyrinth are those that I definitely intend on keeping in my account. Doesn't always mean that you're going to 100% use a champion all the time, but those champions that may end up being sacrificed later or forever vaulted are going to be champions that I don't necessarily want to use the resources and the time going through Minotaur's Labyrinth to, try to fully master them out. It's a lot of scrolls. It's going to take you quite a while to max out your first team of champions, but it is doable. And it's something that I will use my multi-battles for. A lot of you guys, as you're receiving those 30 multi-battles each day, and here's something that I definitely recommend. I use at least half of my multi-battles daily to run my team through Minotaur's Labyrinth. So that's going to be one dedication. The other thing I will usually do is either use campaign for the remainder, or I will select a dungeon and I will farm that dungeon. It can be really difficult in the beginning to kind of wrap your mind around farming within dungeons, because a lot of times you'll hit stage 1, 2, or 3, you get stuck and you may not go back to that dungeon for quite a while. I will encourage you guys to visit it. Always attempt the next level, because that can be a game changer for you as well. I definitely want to see if I have a better chest, which I don't currently. Lifesteal. So the other thing is I go through and I will purge my account, and I may actually go back and run campaign just for that purpose. I use filter. I will go in and just kind of take out all my level 1, 2, 3. This can hurt. I'm not going to tell you that it will not, because at the level that I am now, I receive a ton of level 1, 2, and 3 items. And a lot of these are not going to pack the punch that I need them to. So I'm going to go in, select all. I'm not going to sell you because I've already put a little work into them. There are going to be a couple of pieces. If you've already gone in, sometimes if you have upgraded it, it's like you're kind of torn as to whether you want to release it or not. Only if I placed a glyph on it, which means it was on a champion that I needed it for and I knew that I needed it. So I went ahead and made that push. There are a couple of artifacts, of course, that you may be willing to keep, but a lot of times the answer is going to be a no-go. Letting go and purging your gear is probably the hardest thing that most of us do. I tend to keep immortal gear until I have a full set. It's just one of those sets that has proven to be really helpful. I also tend to look at my divine offense. So even when you go through and you click select all, guys, take a moment to go through and make sure that you don't have a piece that you would actually prefer to keep. And some of these, they give you the feels. I like the percentage here. Sometimes it's hard for me to get crit damage and defense up at this point. And so I will likely, I think I like those a little bit more than you. So the rest of those, I will go back and sell at a different time. But being willing to kind of purge yourself from gear is going to be extremely, extremely helpful. As our champion number begins to grow, and I've been trying to keep this nice and worked in, kind of focusing on my top tier of champions. I'm definitely ready to 6-star quite a few champions. And so I know Death Knight is, oh, of course, Ultimate Death Knight is going to be the top of the list. I will 6-star kill on this particular account. Talia is going to be another one. I think I'm going to take Spymaster to 6-star just to kind of see the synergy that I can get between him and maybe High Katoon and Magister. And I'm going to do a video on Magister. Everybody's always talking about Apothecary, but this guy is actually not half bad. Last but not least, guys, before I get out of this video, another champion, if you have pulled, if you have not worked with Gear Grinder, you may definitely want to think about it. His skill sets can be helpful. And the other thing is, not only does he heal all allies, it's not a huge heal, but it is about 35% of his max HP. The other thing is, he also has the ability to revive a dead ally with 50% HP and 50% turn meter. And this can be placed on a 5-turn cooldown. Would be nice if it was on a 3 or a 4, but again, he's a rare champion. All champions, especially quite a few of your rares, can be really, really good for progression. So think about it. You guys let me know what you think, how you feel about Spymaster. Do you have them? Have you used them? Did you build them out? Did you vault him? Just gotta let me know how you feel. Well, if you stuck around with me for this long, don't forget, if you are looking for a clan, check us out, 22WK. We do have slots that come open here and there. I do believe CVC is coming soon. And you guys know I love some CVC. It is one of my favorite times within the game. I was looking for a really active team. So excited when everyone stays active and keeps pushing in between tournaments. If you're going after the fusion, I'm wishing you all the luck. Hopefully you get either the epic that you want or the rares that you're going to keep, or hey, you may go all the way for the legendary champion. Either way it goes, let me know what you're thinking, how you feel, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Happy gaming.